This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, everybody, this is the Ramble, and I'm Alex. Hey, everybody, how are you? Good to see you. How are you? I decided tonight that I just run an interview at this point, but I have nothing to run except another repeat of say, a Steve Kravitz interview, or maybe the old Penn Jillette interview, or a whole bunch of other things. Yeah, I just decided, what the hell. Usually I used to talk for a half hour, and I just don't know if I can do that anymore. But I'll talk for a little bit at the beginning of the show tonight, and we will be able to try and entertain you with some of our ideas and thoughts and things on what's going on. I am really kind of bothered by a couple of news items that are bothered by a couple of items that are bothering me. See, I can't do this anymore. I can't talk forever about one subject for a long period of time. Let me see here. Do I have all the stuff I want? Yeah. Look at this guy. You might not know that face. That is Jeff Zucker. Zucker was the head of CNN. He had been, previous to that, he had been over at NBC as the head of programming there, and he has been a very successful person in his career, and he's been pretty successful, the companies that he's involved himself in. And in the case of CNN, yeah, they've done well and they've done bad. But basically, he did a good job of righting the ship. If I look off to the side and everything, it's because I'm also running all of this, all the pictures you see and all of that. So please don't mind that. I get distracted. Anyway, he was in charge of CNN, and granted, CNN hasn't done as well as they should. But he quit 2 days ago. He announced his resignation from CNN, not because he's mad at CNN or anything, but because he did not disclose something. You see, he had this woman who worked with him for 20 years on and off at NBC, and then later on at CNN, and her name was Allison Golust. I like this, Golust. Allison Golust. And she was the vice president and chief marketing officer for CNN, and prior to that had held similar jobs at NBC. Now, mind you, he had not favored her in any of these things, except that she was really good at what she did. And over the years, they had become acquaintances and they become friends. And so they never had anything going on between them except a great business relationship, okay? And this went on for about 18 years. And at a certain point, she found herself divorced and he found himself divorced. And during COVID, I guess they kind of looked at each other and said, you know, this has been a pretty good, this has been the best relationship we've had in a long time. Maybe we should take it further. Now, sometimes that's a bad idea. Sometimes that's a good idea. In this particular case, it looks like it was a good idea. They really loved each other and cared about each other. And but what happened was, in the light of the Chris Cuomo situation, where he helped his brother forge his excuses for what he did and so on, and was kind of his media consultant. They didn't like Chris Cuomo doing that, so they fired him. All right? And in the midst of all of that, they interviewed they've had to interview Jeff Zucker about all of this, because he, among other people, are getting sued by Chris Cuomo. So they asked him, have you had any relationships here at CNN? And he said, yes, I have had a relationship that's been going on for, I think he said, the past 2 years, ever since the start of COVID. And with this Goldberg woman, what's her name? Her first name again is Georgia, what is it? Allison Goldberg. And he said, yeah, I've had this relationship going with her. Well, he didn't reveal that. And according to CNN rules and regulations, if you're having a relationship with somebody you work with at CNN, you should report it so that they know it. But he didn't do that. Okay, big whoop. Okay? I don't think that that's a reason to get rid of him or to ask him to leave or whatever. But they didn't ask him to leave. He just said, okay, look, I quit. He was planning on leaving in 2022 anyway. It was just a question of when. They're getting ready to launch this thing called CNN Plus, and it's his baby. And without him there now, there's nobody to guide the ship or to continue what was the feeling of the idea of what this particular site should be. But he left before that, and now it's kind of like, the company's floundering. Now, mind you, let me also add to all of this that he's not one of these guys that everybody hated. In fact, he was one of these guys that everybody liked. In fact, people like Don Lemon and, several other people over at CNN have come to his defense saying, this is a great guy. We've really enjoyed working with him. He's been a great for talent, and we've enjoyed having him here, and he's a nice guy. Okay? So nobody hates him either. Nobody's throwing him to the wolves. Okay, so it's indicated that he should leave, otherwise they're going to let him go. All right? So he takes the choice of leaving because if it's now or in July, when maybe he was planning on leaving, I'll just do it a couple of months early. And so he leaves. Meanwhile, now here's the part that I find sexist on the part of CNN. They didn't ask Allison Goldberg to quit. They didn't ask her to leave. They asked him to leave. And there's something kind of wrong about that. Not that I want to see her fired either. I think it's just a ridiculous thing all the way around. So he didn't let you know that he was having a relationship. And so that might put you in hot water later on down the line if there's some complaints, or all of a sudden the relationship falls apart and then she decides to sue CNN, and so on. So, anyway, be that as it may, okay? He's, he is out and she is still in. And I don't think he should have been even asked to leave. I think he was a very valuable asset to CNN and shouldn't have been asked to leave. But that's the way it goes, out the door. Now, another person who got into trouble this week, and I'm sure you've heard a lot about this, is Whoopi Goldberg. Now, why did Whoopi Goldberg get in trouble? Well, Whoopi Goldberg got in trouble because she said, I'm trying to get the quote here, let's see here. She basically said on The View that the Holocaust wasn't a racial situation. It wasn't racial in nature, that it was a man's inhumanity to man, which is, I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing that she said. I mean, yeah, she said it wasn't a race thing. Okay. Well, yeah, you could argue that Hitler referred to his group as the master race and referred to the Jews as what did he call them? Something race. But anyway, she probably, to her, that seemed right because she's black. And to her, when something is about race, it's about the color of your skin. And in this case, these were a lot of white people, although not all Jews are white. There are things like very black Jews in certain parts of the world. Anyway, she said that, that it wasn't a race thing, that it was really more a case of man's inhumanity to man. And then the next day after, everybody went crazy over this. I mean, they went overly crazy. And this is a woman, by the way, I can say personally, from personal experience, a very nice person, very nice lady. The last time I saw her was years ago at Bob Goldthwait's wedding. Bobcat, as you know him to be. And she was just I always liked her. She was just a really sweet, decent woman. And I remember saying to her, gee, I hope you'll come on my show again. And she says, well, will you still have me when I don't have a career anymore? And I said, absolutely. So that was that. Okay, and that's the last time I saw her. But in the times that I had any kind of dealings with her, she was a nice person. She was just a nice person. And supposedly she's done a lot of things for Jewish organizations and so on. She's not an anti-Semite, all right? And this wasn't an anti-Semitic thing. So anyway, ABC decides they're going to put her on 2 weeks leave. I don't know if it's with or without pay, but 2 weeks leave. And she's supposed to, in those 2 weeks, think about what she said and what she did. And she's already said, I know what I said, I know what I did, I apologize for it, it probably was a wrong way of me putting something, and I should have thought before I spoke, right? But remember, again, she's on a talk show, okay? She's on a talk show where she's expected to have an opinion, and not just any opinion, a harsh left-wing opinion, okay? So all of a sudden, you're doing exactly what your paymasters have told you to do, and now you're in trouble. And that's what I've always hated about the talk business. I always said, you have me go on the air every day and be Alex Bennett, and Alex Bennett is this kind of brash, absurd human being who sometimes is a little pesky because he says things that people don't exactly like, and and then when I do it and just go a little too far by accident, you go and fire me. Now, I never got fired for anything that I said on the air because I always kind of was able to go over to the ledge and look over it, but never jump, okay? I don't know if I would survive today. I really don't know if I would survive today in this politically, I won't call it politically correct because there's nothing correct about it, in this McCarthy-esque time we live in where you are held to account for something you said 20 years ago, And I mean, there were times that I guess on my radio show in San Francisco we were sexist. But we weren't sexist by the modality of the time, by the zeitgeist, as they call it. So it just wasn't, So I don't know that I wouldn't get in the same kind of trouble. But she was on a talk show. She was expected to state her opinion. She stated her opinion. Perhaps she didn't put it right. But she probably should have said, I don't know if I consider it racist because I know that what happens in America is racist because it's against people of very definite complexion. But it certainly was man's inhumanity to man. So, she felt she had to apologize. And I said, oh, she should have apologized. She said, I was wrong in saying the Jews were in a race. But it wasn't man's inhumanity to man. I mean, it's ridiculous. And they make her go away for 2 weeks to ponder what she did and to do soul searching. But she's already done the soul searching. She's gone on and apologized. What more do you need? But anyway, she gets 2 weeks vacation. What the hell? We're going to send you to your room without dinner. That's really what it amounts to. ABC, you're being foolish and you're being childish. This person writes here that I have another thought. This was from, who wrote this? What was this on? I think this was in, no, guess not. Anyway, it says here, I have another thought in the wake of Whoopi Goldberg's suspension from ABC's The View. Goldberg said that the Holocaust was not about race. Goldberg apologized and then was suspended for 2 weeks. Now, let me be clear. This isn't a defense of Goldberg or her comments, but are we surprised that these panel shows produce so much controversy? Shows such as The View, The Talk, and ESPN Sports Debate shows, and really any panel show, are meant to be entertaining and informative in their edginess and willingness to tackle controversial topics. These shows can't just be about cooking recipes, the weather, or who the starting quarterback should be. Within the topics do turn, serious panelists and guests are encouraged to be provocative. There's exactly what I said. Otherwise, what's the point if everyone's going to be figuratively hold hands and sing songs of peace and love? And if you're going to be provocative, you're eventually going to say something dumb, insulting, insensitive, or just flat out wrong. I agree with that completely. I can't remember. I can't see who wrote that. I got that from somewhere, and then I made I printed it out, and then I sitting here going, "What the hell's that all about?" Anyway, that's what's happening with Whoopi and her situation. Now, where am I? Oh yeah, I wanted to. This one really got to me. Okay. By the way, I got to tell you, this is one item I saw, and I want to read it to you just because it doesn't make sense to me. Okay. It says the spin-off Big Brother Celebrity Edition finally returned to CBS after 3 years. Aren't you happy? Does that make you feel good? The spin-off series of the long-running competition series made a splash with its premiere topping demo ratings on Wednesday night. Per Fast affiliates, the CBS nabbed a whatever rating. Well, the house guests are, now get this, this is what the part that got me when I read this article. So I was just reading to see what ratings were and what the ratings are. But then I looked at this and it says the house guests for this season are, now I'm going to name these people. Now tell me I don't know who these people are because I'm just too old to know, okay? And that I just don't have any idea who they are. Some of them, most of them. Cynthia Bailey Hill. Now this is celebrity Big Brother. This isn't like schlub Big Brother. This is the Big Brother thing with, people that are well known. Cynthia Bailey Hill. I never heard of her. Teddy Mellencamp. Any relation to John Cougar Mellencamp? I mean, that's the only Mellencamp I know of. Todd Bridges. I know who Todd Bridges is. Todrick Hall. Never heard of him. Chris Kattan. Yeah, he was on Saturday Night Live and then has done nothing since. Carson Kressley. What is he? He's like a... Does he do fashion or something like that? But I know who he is. I've heard the name. Shauna Molker. Who the hell is... If anybody knows who these people are, please call me up on the program tonight. Just go to gabnet.net, and over on the right-hand side of the page, it has a Zoom link. Just click on that, and it'll zoom you right into us, okay? Because I don't know who some of these people are. Let's see here. Mirai Nagasu. I almost had to stop to figure out how to pronounce that name. Lamar Odom, I know who he is. Okay. Was he the guy? Was he in Hamilton? I'm trying to remember. Misha Tate and Chris Kirkpatrick. Never heard of any of these people. And this is, of course, Celebrity Big Brother. Okay. Oh, hey, I have one other thing I wanted to mention to you about the bad part about Jeff Zucker. He is the guy who, when he was at NBC, spearheaded and put up Donald Trump as the host of The Apprentice, and really kind of made him the star that he needed to be in order to become president of the United States. I mean, it had a lot to do with him becoming president of the United States. So that was the down part for Zucker. I forgot to mention that, and I wanted to mention that. Okay, we go to the Spotify situation with this is from Podcast Business Journal about the situation with Joe Rogan. You know, Joe Rogan had people on his show talking about COVID and not giving really good information. Well, it says, who knew signing the most successful podcaster in the world would become such a headache? In addition to reporting quarterly earnings yesterday, Spotify CEO Daniel Ek had to field questions about the growing discontent from the content creators over the Rogan show. Ek told investors he's trying to balance creative expression with the safety of our users, of course. This is a very complicated issue, but I'm really proud of the steps we took following concerns raised by the medical and scientific communities. Yeah, they run a little announcement before the Rogan show saying, the information on the show may be full of shit. They don't exactly put it that way. A handful of artists pulled their music from Spotify. We got, let's see here, Neil Young, David Crosby today came across and said he's getting off of there, but he's always had a problem with them. He says the artists don't make any real money at Spotify. He said to the person interviewing him on MSNBC, he said, if I could take all the money I made last year from Spotify, he said, I could buy you a cup of coffee. That's how little we make. But he said he's not, and Joni Mitchell isn't going to, and Prince Harry and Meghan who have a deal with Spotify, have talked about complaining about this whole thing. They're not exactly saying we quit because it's one of their only sources of income. Okay, let's be honest about it. Let's see here. What else? He says the company does not change our policies based on one creator, nor do we change it based on any media cycle or calls from anyone. While Joe has a massive audience, he also has to abide by these policies. Rogan has apologized for causing a headache for Spotify, but not for being wrong, and will strive for more balance. By the way, I was watching OAN, the One America News. And you want to hear the piece of information, and Charlie, when I talk to you, you can correct me if I'm wrong, okay? But OAN said on the air today that the what do you call it? What's the organization that okays all the drugs and everything like that? Anyway, that they have not told people how many people have died from the vaccine, and they say it's quite innumerable. I haven't heard of anybody dying from the vaccine. Have you? And they said that that the powers that be have not announced that or given out that information. Well, maybe they didn't give out that information because there isn't any information. But Charlie, if you know, see if you can find out how many people have died because of the vaccination. I'll tell you though, there's a movie years ago called Dr. Ehrlich's Magic Bullet, and it was with Edward G. Robinson. It was about the guy who invented the cure for syphilis, and he was put on trial for murder because several people who took his cure died. And one of the last lines in the movie is he's on the stand and he says, but nobody's talking about the other death, because they listed a bunch of deaths of people who died from Dr. Ehrlich's Magic Bullet. He said, nobody's talking about the death of syphilis itself. He said, how many more people would have died had we not had this? And the fact is that if some people do die from the vaccine, and I've not heard of this happening, but if some people have, then it's a small price to pay for all the lives that have been saved. You have to weigh one against the other, but I have not heard anything to this extent. But I found that disgusting, and yet that's on my local they're on my local cable system, which is Verizon, right? Fios, and it makes me a little mad. Okay, I finally got something else for you here, and then we'll get to our callers. Okay. 17 musical luminaries are nominees for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, these are nominees. These are not the people who are going to go into the Hall of Fame. Now, listen to the nominees, and then I'll tell you what's wrong with this. Carly Simon, her first nomination. Good for you, Carly. Rage Against the Machine. The New York Dolls. Dolly Parton, her first nomination. You mean to tell me the New York Dolls have gotten a nomination several times, but Dolly Parton hasn't? Judas Priest, Dionne Warwick, Kate Bush, Devo, Lionel Richie, first nomination. Eminem, first nomination. The MC5, apparently they've had many before this. The Eurythmics, Tribe Called Quest, first nomination. Fela Kuti, I never heard of Fela Kuti. Beck, first nomination. Pat Benatar and Duran Duran, first nomination. Now, what is wrong about all of this? What am I about to gripe about? All of these are nominees. See, it says nominees. There we go. These are all nominees. These are not the people who are going into the Hall of Fame. No, the top 5 will be announced in May. And what happens is people get to vote. The public gets to vote on this. Now, I find this as disgusting as what happened with me and the Radio Hall of Fame, you know? Just give me the fucking prize or don't give me the fucking prize, all right? Otherwise, leave me the hell alone. I think it's terrible to have these people engage in a contest, right? And hope that they're going to win. Right? It's disgusting. So I don't know. So it's disgusting that that's it. You know. I don't like it when we turn art into a contest. Art isn't a contest, and I just think that all these people should just be installed in the Hall of Fame right now, or just list 5 of them. Okay. But if I had to pick on these people, I don't know which ones I would pick. You know? New York Dolls would probably be in my list. But, you know, Dionne Warwick, I mean, it's so difficult. How do you turn this into a contest between these people? I don't understand it. Well, anyway, I've been talking for a half hour. Okay, I did it. And I don't know if I did it as well as I used to do it, but I did it, and I certainly am happy to continue here with some of our callers, which we don't have very many of them tonight. Maybe I should have just kept talking. There's Charlie Wallace, and Trucker Steve is there, and me. That's it. Okay. Hello, guys. How are you?
Hi.
Yeah. Charlie, did you hear what I said about OAN and their little statistic? The CDC was the group I was trying to think of. Yeah.
Yeah. They're quoting statistics of the 200 million people that have taken a vaccine, that there have been some 6,000 people who died after taking the vaccine. But there's no nuance to that. If somebody got a vaccine shot and was crossing the street and got hit by a truck, technically they died after taking the vaccine.
Yeah.
But the vaccine didn't kill them.
Okay. So in other words, they're saying here that there's no they're not making a big deal out of how many people died. They're not revealing how many people died as a result of the vaccine. But what they're saying is that people have died who were vaccinated, but that doesn't mean they died from the vaccine.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't die from the vaccine. There are very few indications. I mean, very few instances of people who took the vaccine and immediately got sick and died.
Do they have any idea about why that many people who were vaccinated actually died? I would think it would have been less. Didn't
No,
we?
there's 6,000 people out of 200 million people is not a big number.
No, that's not a big number. I'm not saying that's a big number, but haven't we been saying all along that we don't know of a single death of a vaccinated person?
Right. There's nobody that can definitely say that the vaccine itself killed John Doe or whoever.
No, but what I'm saying is we've said all along that nobody who's been vaccinated has died as a result of it, but I guess they have, right?
Not as a result of taking the vaccine.
No. I'm saying they take the vaccine, they get sick, they die. Okay? Now, the vaccine had nothing to do with it, but the vaccine didn't protect them. But we've been led to believe that of all the people in the country who have died, none of them have died who were vaccinated.
No, that's not true.
Oh,
nobody's
right.
ever claimed that.
Yeah,
the vaccine is only 95% efficient.
Well,
So
I've probably been giving out that wrong information, but the reason I do it is, of course, I have a show on Spotify, and I'm trying to live up to their abilities. Yes. Hello, John Larkin.
Hi. You know where all those right wingers are getting this data is there's some kind of website, and I read this somewhere where you can report deaths from vaccines, and it's not verified at all. I mean, anybody can just call in and say, hey, my dad died from the vaccine that he got. There's no evidence. It's not scientifically proven. It's just bullshit. And of course, OAN, they'll take that stuff. And I might add, did you hear about the sheriff up in Washington who said, "Oh, I'm quitting because they're making me get the vaccines," and he was all over Fox News. He was a celebrity on Fox News back in October. So this last week he dies from COVID because he didn't get the vaccine. Did you hear Fox say a fucking word? Not a word.
Well, I don't know. I don't watch Fox, so I don't know why I would have heard.
They turned him into a fucking folk hero back in October. He dies of COVID. Then they don't say a word.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
He left the family without income, and they left it to the guys on MSNBC to put it on there to donate to his family, Wow.
They raised hundreds of thousands of dollars on that for him.
For the guy's family? Yeah, it was MSNBC.
I don't know if they ever gave it to him, but
they're gonna. I'm sure they will give it to him. But I mean, it should be Rupert Murdoch that's given the guy $1 million, his family, because it's Rupert Murdoch's channel's fault. The guy's dead.
Yeah.
Well, they never will allow themselves to be considered complicit in any of that.
No, of course not.
Oh, he died because he got AIDS. Not AIDS, but they got COVID.
Yeah.
And they won't say that it was their fault, or they encouraged it, that he did this on his own. He chose to take the risk, But yet they were lauding him. They were lauding him as a folk hero.
Exactly, and they're all vaccinated,
Yeah.
They won't admit it though.
Now the big story up in Canada, where Trucker Steve is, or former Trucker Steve is all the truckers who have been complaining and demonstrating and.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you something. Our news organizations up here in Canada, CTV, CBC, Global, are fucking lying, because they've been saying, like Trudeau himself said, that these truckers are just a small fringe section of society or whatever. And right now, in Alberta, they've had the RCMP are starting to escalate the situation. Okay? They brought in the SWAT team this afternoon. SWAT team.
Wow.
Trudeau himself is about to invoke the Emergency Measures Act. Okay. You know what that is?
Yeah,
That's martial law.
That's the same as martial law in this country, yeah.
All because he's a little fucking pussy who, when the truck drivers arrived in Ottawa, what does he do? Oh, I came in contact with COVID. I got to go isolate for a few days. What a coward.
Well, you don't know that he didn't have COVID and wasn't doing the responsible thing.
Really? He's triple vaxxed 3 times.
Okay. Yeah. But
and he tested negative.
Oh, okay. Well,
but he still said he isolated.
Yeah. Well, that's wrong. You're very mad about this because it's something you really have. You have skin in the game, you know. And I think that. But they say
I am pissed off because he basically insulted me personally, along with all the other drivers in the country.
Yeah. Yeah. There have been reports that drivers have been blocking roads up there. Is that true?
They're parking the trucks in the cities. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, that can cause.
But they're not blocking the roads. All you got to do is watch TikTok, because the drivers there are live streaming.
Yeah.
You can see all around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Trudeau is accusing these drivers of getting into fights with the locals, vandalism, stealing food. Really? Why does a truck driver need to steal food when they already have stuff in the truck, in the fridge in the truck?
I thought, I'm surprised because Trudeau we always had an impression in this country, didn't we, guys, that Trudeau was a pretty decent guy.
Yeah.
But this doesn't sound like a decent guy now.
No, he's not.
So what we have
and he's saying that
what we have
that
here
the
is
truck drivers are causing a lot of trouble and stuff.
Well, what I'm saying is that
there's a video that I found online on TikTok. They were singing "We Are the World" this afternoon with the locals in the city, dancing in the fucking streets, singing to "We Are the World."
That's dangerous.
What are the truck drivers protesting anyway?
The mandates. They want the mandates to end. The vaccine mandates for the drivers and for everybody else.
Mandate. What does that mean, man? You got to get a vaccine shot to drive a truck?
Well, the mandates that you got to get a vaccine to keep your job, and all the lockdowns that we've had. We just come out of another one.
Wow.
And just people up here have just had it.
Well, has everybody had it, or basically the truck drivers, or is there also just
no? Everybody, people, the citizens in Ottawa are actually supporting the drivers.
Is that
in fact, most of the country, about 80% in a poll, are supporting the drivers. The other 20 are not.
What percentage of the truck drivers in Canada are vaccinated?
90%.
Well, then what are they protesting? It's only 10% that's not vaccinated. They're already all vaccinated.
Yeah, but 10%. You got to look at the numbers, the amount of trucks. It may not seem like a lot to you.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of trucks.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot of truck drivers that are actually vaccinated, and they're still protesting, huh?
Yep. Because even though they're vaccinated, they're sick of the mandates too.
Wow. Well, if they've got the shot, the only other mandate would be masks, right?
Well, they want everything gone, masks, social distancing, all of it.
Okay, the question is, what is the result of that? Okay, in other words, let's say you do away with all those mandates. Do you think that it's going to
even our lead medical head of the Ministry of Health even in Ontario said that lockdown measures are just something that have failed, and we need to go with a different approach, which is basically learning to live with it like you do with the flu or the common cold or anything else.
Well, let me say this: in a lot of other countries, China is one that I know of because I've been there. When people have colds and they go outside, or they go to work, or they go to a store, they wear a mask. Okay, if they have a cold. Do you think that Canadians are that responsible that they would take that approach, that if they didn't feel well but they had to go to the store?
Well, some of them might continue wearing them, but
no, that's not what I'm saying.
Won't.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if we were to do this the right way, we would expect that anybody who feels they aren't well and they have to go out and they have to go to a store or do something like that or get on a bus or whatever, okay, would then don a mask, and they could be counted on to do such. In other countries, they do, as a matter of the way you do things. You know, it's considered good. What can we call it? Good form to wear a mask if you've got a cold. Here, we don't wear masks when we get colds, and we should. In fact, I haven't had a cold in the last 2 years, and you know why? Because I've been wearing a mask. That's the side benefit of this whole thing. You see, I mean, I sympathize with people who feel their livelihoods are being impinged upon because of this, and that there have to be certain accommodations to help get them back to making a living. But I still think that the overall health, we don't know what is right or wrong, to tell you the damn truth. But we do know an old maxim that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And what this is that ounce of prevention. That's all, And I'm saying that the truck drivers, if they're vaccinated and they're in their cab all the time and they don't get out of it, don't have to wear masks.
And I was going to say, wouldn't a truck driver job really, you're pretty much isolated other than when you're going to make your stop.
Yeah, but when you get out, you probably should put on a mask. If nothing more to protect yourself.
It isn't like you're going into like a warehouse every day or a department store or a place of work where you're around other workers. You really don't have anything to worry about.
But how tough are these laws up there about mandates? I mean, in other words, what are they saying, basically? What are the parameters of the mandate? Masks, vaccinations, what's the...
Well, they want people to get their booster shots.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if Trudeau's getting kickbacks from Pfizer, because he ordered, was it 4 times the amount of the population in Canada?
Well, that would be almost right. That would be almost right, because with a booster, you'd be 3 times the population.
Well, I don't remember the exact number, but it's a lot more than the population.
Yeah, well, it would have to be.
It's overkill.
Well, it's not overkill if it's double the population. That's 2 shots for everybody, and if it's 3 times the population, that's 3 shots for everybody. So that's not overkill. If he went past that, yes, that would be overkill. I mean, I'm not beginning to tell you what I really think about all of this, because it doesn't matter. I live in the United States. I got my own set of problems, and you've got yours up there.
Well, the thing is, it's pretty sad that you have to go to TikTok to get accurate news. When the drivers are actually telling you what's actually going on, and the news is telling you something different.
Well, I'll tell you something about this situation.
And they're blatantly lying.
What surprises me is that the Canadians have always been portrayed as being complacent and very quiet and soft-spoken.
Well, think about it.
And it's
truck drivers are not the usual, the most socially responsible people, like protesting and stuff.
Yeah.
And it gets to the point where they protest, there's a problem.
Yeah. Well, when people in Canada are yelling and screaming, that's not something you normally are used to hearing as the Canadian zeitgeist, as I put it. I mean, the Canadians are supposedly very polite. Sorry, I'm very
friendly.
sorry. Friendly.
You know what? and they're being peaceful. They don't want it. They don't want, like, Trudeau's been putting thugs into the protests. Like, they had somebody taken with a picture taken with a Nazi flag and General Lee Confederate flag. Those were fake photos. There was nobody with a Nazi flag, and if there was, the drivers publicly shamed them because they know they don't want to do anything stupid that's going to take the public's favor away from them.
Yeah, a Nazi flag might show up in Canada, but the Confederate flag certainly wouldn't.
I mean, yeah, what does that have to do with Canada?
And they were spotted up there, but the guys who were carrying this stuff were wearing full covering masks, like what do you call it, a baklava?
We don't even know if these people were.
So you couldn't see any of their face.
I am sure that in your ranks there have been some people coming in from the United States to make trouble. Okay.
Well, not just people here in Canada too. It's just they would just fucking hire somebody and plant them into the protest to try and cause trouble, to try and get the police to escalate the situation.
Wow.
It's bad.
By the way, anybody else want to call this program tonight? Love to hear from you. Hello, Tony.
How you doing?
Hi.
I was going to tell you, I was going to ask you, I buy comic books from somebody up in Canada, Manitoba, and I could be wrong. I remember wasn't the borders for Canada closed for the last year that they weren't letting nobody in? That they were taking it really seriously, I thought. Is that true?
Oh, yeah. It was closed to unessential travel. So it was open for truck drivers, basically.
Yeah, I was going to say, nobody else can get into that country, though, from the outside.
Just recently opened the borders.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, yeah.
How is your infection rate up there?
It's not bad, I don't think. It's not really that bad. It's starting to drop. Like, we were in a lockdown, but they started just opening up earlier this week. 50% capacity.
Let's see here. Canadian infection rate.
I wonder, did people protest and have such a big stink when everybody was getting the polio vaccine?
No.
I would have thought they were dancing in the street for that.
Yeah, I know. They were lining up for it. No questions
asked.
asked.
Yeah, we couldn't wait to get the vaccine.
I can't remember. That was before I was born, I think, wasn't it? When was that? What year?
It was like 1958, 55, 57, something like that.
Well, that's when I was born.
I watched the old documentaries on that stuff, and it's like
I guess I don't remember ever getting one.
January 6th, you hit a high in Canada of a 7-day average of 39,905 per day. But then it went down at February 2nd to a 7-day average of 16,453. So that's about half. So you have gone down, You have gone down. There's no question about it. There's
a video on my phone. I don't know if I could play it for you.
No, don't play it. Don't play
No.
it. Yeah, because those things just don't show up well. But what's it a video of?
What's it a show?
It's just the one guy who says Trudeau is going to do the Emergency Measures Act.
Well, is this one guy saying he's going to?
Well, it's been, I guess Trudeau said it himself.
Well, did he or didn't he is the question,
I wouldn't trust him. And
well, I mean, that's not enough. All I'm saying is what you've got to do is separate myth from truth, okay?
And if it's rumored that he's Fidel Castro's bastard son. Do you know that?
Okay. Now
we're getting into a territory which is science fiction.
He was born in 1971. Okay, his mom and dad got married, or supposedly real dad, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, who was the former prime minister in the 70s and early 80s. Okay, and they got married in 71. Margaret Trudeau was known to be easy with the vagina.
Could have
She
been Mick
Easy
Jagger.
with the
half of the
vagina.
Rolling Stones.
I didn't.
He banged half of the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, could have been Mick Jagger.
Yeah, and they went on vacation into the Caribbean, and they went. There was an itinerary because they were. He was I think a senator or a politician, lower politician. So they had a list of where they were going for security.
Mhm.
And then during that honeymoon, Pierre went off and did a business trip somewhere, one of the islands. And then Margaret went to an unnamed island that wasn't on the list. And people think it's Cuba. Because if you look at Trudeau and pictures of Castro side by side at different ages during their life, there's a resemblance.
Well, hold on a second. Justin Trudeau, okay. Trudeau, Castro's son.
Now, Snopes has supposedly debunked it,
Then if they did,
but there's only one way to debunk that, and that's a DNA test.
debunked. Here it is on, well, this is Spirit Live, something like that. Spirit Live. Debunked last month. I stumbled upon an article discussing the theory Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is the illegitimate son of Fidel Castro. Well, this article has a
Is
tendency.
Phil back on the show, spreading these weird rumors? Phil, is he on the show?
I don't know. It's the
I still
ghost.
can't get over-
It's the ghost of Phil
That's my Trump.
ciphering himself through Steve, Trucker Steve.
But meanwhile, you were saying that the high for Canada was 39,000 cases a week. That was the high. Well, the high here in the United States was an average of almost 900,000 cases a day. And so Canada must be handling it much better than the U.S. because there's only about 1/10 the population of the U.S. in Canada, but that's a lot more than 1/10. A lot. I mean, 39,000 is 1/30th of 900,000.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Wait a minute. Who we just lose? Did we just lose somebody? No.
Jack Bishop came in and then he came out.
Who came in?
Jack
Bishop. Bishop came in. And
That's what it was. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second. Here comes Jeff. Okay. Well, yeah.
Everybody's getting here late.
Why?
Well, my excuse is I was out eating sushi.
Sushi. He got fish. You were so fishy. You go crazy with that fish.
Yeah.
I like fish.
All I'm
You
saying,
like
all I'm saying, Steve, is
Yeah.
you've really got to be, you've got to really seek out the truth and not allow yourself to be subject to every rumor that comes along, because that does nobody any good, including yourself. I think there's a lot of truth here. I think probably Trudeau has done some wrong moves where this is concerned. I think he could have dealt with the truckers much better than you say he has.
Oh, he hasn't. He's been terrible.
Yeah.
And he still won't talk to him.
Yeah, well, you see, I mean, that's terrible. And that's horrible.
Because he's a coward.
Yeah. But, I mean, then throwing in that he's Castro's illegitimate son,
I like the Castro.
Yeah, that's
That's a little far-fetched.
And so what if he was Castro's illegitimate son? Are you giving him a bad time because his father was Fidel Castro?
Well, that's where I think he's trying to be this dictator.
Yeah.
He's just getting it from his real dad.
Oh, I see. Okay, like father, like son.
Isn't he up for election real soon?
He just had one last September.
Oh, he won? I thought he was up again.
Yeah, he won a minority government, which is under parliamentary terms, you get a majority, which is a certain amount of seats, and then he won a minority, which is.
But he's coming up for election himself, isn't he? Real soon.
No, but from last September, he probably won't have one for another at least 2 or 3 years, maybe 4 years.
I thought I read somewhere that he was coming
We don't have term limits. He can run this forever for prime minister if he wanted to.
Oh, it's the guy from France that's coming up for election that I was thinking. Get those two guys.
Macron, you mean?
Macron, yeah, or whatever his name is.
Yeah. Okay. Hello to Jack Bishop. Where'd he go?
He's gone again.
He just disappeared. Oh, well. He had trouble last night. You know, he didn't get to do his show because the ice storms in Texas.
That's something. He had terrible connection.
Yeah, well, he kept going off all the time.
Worse than other times.
Yeah, and then he said he got put in solar power, and he said his solar power was fluctuating. Because I guess it doesn't work too well with ice. I don't know what the deal.
Well, yeah, if you cover up the cells, you're not going to get.
Yeah, but at night you're not going to get any anyway. You're going to be running on the batteries.
Yeah.
You know. So, but it did not work out too well for him last night. So I don't know.
The rest of us had a good time.
He may be having the same problem, you know, tonight. You know, I just. I don't know. I'm just so tired of just. I mean, now when this enmity hits Canada, I mean that's unheard of.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are the nice, sweet guys up there. Get along with each other and have a good time, and everybody's.
You know what? These trucking protests have been starting to spark all over the world. Australia, every country in Europe is doing it, and it's spreading.
Yeah.
And then the American drivers haven't really done anything yet, but it's only a matter of time before they start.
Well, actually, the American drivers haven't done anything about it because you say, what American drivers? I mean, a lot of guys are quitting being drivers in this country.
There's a shortage.
There's a shortage of drivers.
There's a shortage, but there's still a big, huge number.
What were you saying, Kevin?
They're actually planning to go to D.C.
You were a driver, weren't you, Kevin? And you say that you could go out and get a job tomorrow, more money than you ever made as a truck driver before, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They've got $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 signing bonus going on right now.
Wow.
Where?
Oh, right here locally.
Wow.
Schneider, JB Hunt, all those guys are dying for drivers.
Wow. I should get a job doing that.
Sure, why not?
No.
I'm sure there are places you can learn how to be a truck driver pretty fast now, isn't there? Aren't there?
Yeah, well, it's not that easy, but
I mean, I wouldn't want I wouldn't want to be a truck driver, but that's only because
I wouldn't mind doing it for a year or two just for the experience.
Yeah.
Be kind of fun.
I don't know. I don't think I could do it. I don't have the nature to do it. I think it's a really tough job that you got to love. And
it's not for everybody.
No, it's not for everybody. You probably see.
I was a parts driver for an auto dealership in San Jose for about 3 years, but then when they found out my driving record, they said you can't even push the carts in the parking lot anymore.
Hey, wait a minute. Here comes.
Keep you from getting to be a truck driver.
Be quiet a second.
Well, now my drive. This is 30 years, 40 years ago.
Here comes Jack again.
Poor Jack.
Jack, what's the problem tonight, Jack? Jack,
not connected to audio yet.
Yeah, I'm finally here. Jeez.
There he is.
I heard you guys talking about what happened last night.
No, wait a minute. Yeah, what happened last night with you? Yeah.
Yeah, well, we found out what the problem was.
What?
We've got solar.
Yeah.
And we've had some cold weather here.
Mm-hmm.
And while we have solar, they can draw from our batteries as well as from what we generate during the day. And that's what happened last night. They were taking a percentage of our power from the folks that have my particular brand of solar and the contract that we have, and we were up in our spare.
There he goes.
Everybody else warm.
Yeah.
Every other word.
Your internet's frozen.
Yeah. Well, no, it's okay now.
Audio's
But are you in better shape tonight?
Seems to be been good all day. We'll see what happens.
So
tonight.
what are they? Were stealing power from you, basically?
Well, basically, what it was is the contract that we have for our solar, which we share with the power grid, allows them to draw a certain percentage of the power in our batteries when we get to an emergency level.
And so last night was an emergency level.
That's right. And I don't know how bad it was down there where Charlie is, but we still have snow and ice. This entire area, which if you include the suburbs in Dallas and Fort Worth, is 9 million people, and it is shut down.
Ice.
Yeah, we're pretty much shut down Austin too, because there's ice everywhere. It's still sleeting.
To show you how, we're probably going to get some of that tonight if you've got it. To show you how bad it was, Alex, even the big box stores were closed today.
Wow.
Well, it's because you guys got that real shitty power system down there, don't you? You're on your own down there.
Yeah.
Yep. Another case of better living.
Well, I saw your governor today say you've got the best power system in America.
And I want
guaranteed
whatever
the grid will stay up.
Whatever he's snorting, I want some.
Somebody needs to put a big stick in his spokes.
Yeah. Meanwhile, over 70,000
Well, I say there's a
people
chance
have
you
no
could
power.
drive him in front of a bus. Oh, wait a minute. I better not say that. I'll get demonetized. Anyway.
But it was not fun up here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It did not get above 27 degrees today.
Nice.
You know what it is right now
I'm
here?
happy to be here in California.
It's not raining any longer, and the temperature is 51 degrees.
And let me put it this way, Alex. Fuck you and the horse you just rode in on.
And just before we go into news, and I go into a coma.
There's a difference between Texas and New York. New York, it has ice all the time, so they have people that come and scrape the streets and lay down salt, and Texas is not prepared for that.
Oh, New York is ready for it. California, for instance, if they get weather like that, doesn't know how to handle it. That doesn't have
the mountains. They do. They get it all the
in the
time.
mountains they do, but they don't like. At one point, I saw a time when we got actually snow in San Francisco.
Yeah,
they just stood there and couldn't do anything.
1964.
Yeah, was it? I think it was 62, 63 that we had it.
Yeah, 64.
I remember it was snowing at the beach.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Gotta hate when that happens.
Well, here it snows at the beach all the time,
Yeah.
But, as a kid growing up, I never saw snow. I never saw snow till my parents took me to Lake Tahoe. And then I saw snow.
That far?
Yeah.
God, when I was a kid, my friends were offering me cocaine all the time.
Well, like you, Alex, until we had that storm in the 60s, I had never seen snow.
Well, no, I thought you were going to say like me, you have to put up with Alan as well. But
yes. So glad you gave him to me.
No, he decided to go over there and pester you, just.
Yeah, a little pester here, a little pester there. Pretty soon you got a pester.
Between you and I, he has a 2.5-hour show.
That's right. That's right. But I have Mike Allen all to myself, thanks to you.
Yes, I gave him to you as a gesture of good faith and caring.
And don't pick on Mike; he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Somebody shoot me. No, he's actually all right.
Yeah. Jeff is down there. We haven't said a word to Jeff tonight. Jeff, he's in Florida. Right. What's the temperature right now in Florida?
Nice. Oh, today it was like 80.
Oh, shut up. Shut up. Just
And he's
shut up.
sitting right under the air conditioner too.
You know, I haven't been out of this house in maybe, I think I went down to the store one day, walked down to the store and back, and that was it in 2 weeks because it's been so cold. You know, I'm not going to take one of my long walks in this weather.
It must be warm in Florida right now. The air conditioner's blowing your hair around, Jeff.
Oh, come on. I got to tell you, when I worked, I lived in New York. The best thing was when it snowed and you're a teenager, because you take a shovel, you walk over to somebody's house, you take out the snow, and they give you money.
You know something?
There's no better than when you're like
Wait. Did
14.
you hire the little Mexican guy on the corner for 50 cents? No?
No.
Do it yourself.
Yeah. Jack?
Now, I heard a story out of Florida yesterday that it had been so cold in a section of Florida, it got down to like 37 degrees, and that's where they start having problems with the citrus crops.
Oh,
And
yeah,
also-
they had actually, they showed iguanas and stuff, or lizards
That's where I was
falling out of the trees. Yeah, because they freeze, but they don't die.
Yeah.
They freeze.
They're cold-blooded.
Yeah. But,
Unlike a caller that I have that you used to have, Scott Boddicker, who says that he avoids that here in Texas because of the bourbon antifreeze he uses.
yes, exactly.
If they're cold-blooded in Florida, I wonder how Trump survives.
Well, he does call my show.
He doesn't have any blood.
Calls
He
on.
doesn't fall out. I guess he doesn't climb in trees.
He calls the Monday show.
We could wish.
Yeah.
Well, last night it was so bad as far as getting stuff to work here in my house. I challenged all of my Citizen Panel members, somebody take over doing this show so I can go to bed now since I can't be heard by anybody.
Yeah.
And not a one of them would step up and do the.
He couldn't understand what you were saying.
Yeah,
Really.
nobody
Like,
had any
every
idea
third
what you were
word.
saying.
Well, I said for you guys to take over.
But we didn't hear that.
Couldn't understand a word that Amy was saying, but that's the usual.
Well, that's normal.
It's normal. Yeah.
And Mike mumbles a little bit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mhm.
No, about every fourth word we'd hear out of your mouth, Jack.
Oh, good. That's about, that's good enough for
Well,
government.
normally on a good night, it's every third word, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You guys that don't go to the intersection, you guys ought to come over.
No,
It's a
but he
fun
usually
place.
has a pretty good signal all the way around. And then last night, I mean, come on, weather is everything. I mean,
Well, I did learn one thing also about the neighborhood, which may have played in this thing. Half of this town has underground lines. The other half has overhead. Guess who lives in one of the older suburbs that has overhead lines?
might be named Jack
You.
Bishop. Would it be you?
Yes, or whatever name I'm currently using until the police find out about me.
Yeah.
But it was no fun, and it was so bad. We've got.
How bad was it?
It was so bad that when we woke up this morning at One Bishop Manor, the cats were not just on top of the bed, on top of the covers. They were under the electric blankets with us.
Well, it was so cold in Central Park yesterday
How cold was it?
that I saw a squirrel warming his nuts. Thank you. I'll be here all week.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Hey, I got a program coming up in about 15, 16 minutes. Catch you.
God
at the top of
willing.
the hour with
What?
the intersection.
Yeah,
God
if you get on
willing.
Zoom, it works better. Oh, sorry.
Hey, you make it happen, I'll do it.
You do the technical. I'll pay for the Zoom.
God, do
Hey,
I?
no, you do the technical, I'll pay for the Zoom.
Yeah. I'm not, I mean, we could have you go Zoom.
Well, let's talk about it next week.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah. But I just find that Skype maybe is easier for your audience because you can just give out Gabnet Live. Oh, there he goes.
Well, there's only 5 or 6 of us ever on this show, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, since he does audio only, he doesn't really need Skype. I mean, he really doesn't need Zoom. If he did video, I would say yes. In fact, if he has a Facebook page, he can very easily do video by just like what I do on Mondays is on Zoom, I click a thing that says post to Facebook, and then it just posts it to Facebook without any real problem.
Speaking of Facebook.
Yes. What about
anybody watch the stock market today?
Oh man,
Facebook went from $400 a share to $300 a share.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Was it that good? I thought it was worse.
$87 loss for the day. Yesterday was pretty bad.
A quarter of their value.
Yeah, well, the analysts are now saying that it's worth $250 a share, not $350 a share. So
that's like $100 billion loss in capital value.
Oh, yeah, well, you know, they were saying on the news, on the business news, that what Facebook lost in one day in the stock market, some medium-sized companies, that's their whole, they would have been out of business. That's their whole budget.
Yeah, for sure.
They lost billions.
How much money did Zuckerberg lose today?
Oh, he lost about 30 billion, I think. Almost.
Oh yeah, I think so. I think is right, in the billions, definitely.
About
and by the
27.
way,
All on paper though.
Spotify posted profits, really good profits, and still is down 12%, I think.
Yeah.
There's a big backlash, like you said, Alex,
because
now.
of the
More and more
Rogan
artists.
thing. Yeah. So it proves that you're not, just because you have good numbers doesn't mean you're going to have a good stock number. Well, if the public doesn't like you, they're not going to buy your stock.
Yep.
It's buy on the rumor, sell on the news.
Yeah.
You know what I was going to ask you, Alex? Do you think if he gets enough, if their stock keeps tanking, I told my brother this, I wouldn't be surprised if they drop Joe Rogan. I mean, he's not big enough to.
Oh, he's big.
He's big.
2 million.
You think they'll cut him loose?
2 million.
They already paid him all that money. Why would they cut him loose?
2 million listeners a day.
Yeah.
If you believe what they say.
I listened to him a couple days ago. I think he's fucking boring. It's not even interesting. Yeah. I don't understand why.
I like his comedy. He was a horrible comic.
I never even saw his comedy.
Oh, you're
I
fine.
just knew he was an extreme fighter. I never knew really he was in comedy.
Well, we've had a lot of people who are really mediocre comics do podcasts and make a fortune off of them and get a whole career based upon that. Mark Maron is a good example of that.
Well, I like him, Alex. He had Tony Kushner on this week. He has good guests, that guy. That's most of the time. I didn't even know he was a comic. Mark
Alex
Maron.
looking at you like the guy's dead.
David Feldman's got a podcast.
Yes.
One of the biggest assholes that I've ever known is Mark Maron.
Oh.
So bad a human being that Sam Kinison pissed in his bed. Kinison hated him.
He
hated
sounds
him.
neurotic on the show. And every time you hear him, he sounds like he's like a very neurotic person. Like
I don't
know if it's an
I
actor
haven't
or
seen
not.
Mark in years, and if I don't see him for the rest of my life, I'll be happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of love there.
A lot of love. Yeah.
I just like Tony Kushner on it.
So
He was on
Tony
the show.
Kushner was on there. Of
Well, I
course
like
he's
his-
going to.
He gave a good interview.
Of course he's going to be on there. He's plugging the goddamn movie.
Yeah, he gave a good interview. That was basically I was listening to him for. I thought he was good.
Yeah.
Didn't he have Obama on his show one time?
Yeah.
I think so.
He interviewed him in his garage or something.
Yeah. Well,
Letterman was on Seth Meyers.
Yeah, I hear
night.
that was a very good show.
Yeah, it was. It was interesting.
Somebody
It
said
was a good show. I saw it.
He said it was very good television, is what somebody wrote.
Yeah, Letterman knows what he's doing.
I gotta say, he's got to shave that beard though.
I like the
horrible.
Never happened. Never happened. You know why he grew that beard?
Why?
To piss his wife and kid off.
It looks funny.
That's what I hear.
Really?
Yeah.
He looks like
for
fucking
him.
Moses.
He looks like sometime. Well, Shecky was talking about it. Shecky went to a funeral of one of the Late Show people. Okay, and he walks up and he sees a guy standing on the corner, and it's this what he believed was an absolute disheveled bum.
Really?
And he gets closer, and it's Dave. You know, I mean, Dave looks. That beard is a little.
I like
much.
that he dresses like that.
I mean,
though.
well, look at Kevin. Look at Kevin. He's got a long.
He's
beard.
got it. I think.
But
I like it. He just doesn't care.
But it's a better beard than Dave's got. Dave's got.
I like Dave's beard.
It's got to itch. What do you think? Does that itch, Kevin? The
Huh?
beard? Does the beard itch at all, or no?
No, it gets the longer it gets, the softer it gets.
Is that what it is? Because I itch now like this. I mean, I can imagine when
Begins, that's where everybody gets irritated right about there, and they shave it off. But it's fine.
Oh, so you're saying your face is hurting you? Well, it's hurting me too. Thank you. I'll be here all week.
Like I get itchy.
Nothing like the old ones, right? But this thing as it gets longer I can't get it to really get really long because
Did your hearing come back?
What?
Did your hearing in your ear come
Yes,
back?
it did. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know what that was about.
Oh boy.
It was like
Yeah,
some
one day COVID.
one day to COVID. No, you don't
Yeah, I
lose
don't
your
know.
hearing because of COVID, right?
I don't think so.
How's your health doing, Trucker Steve? You okay?
Yeah.
Because I'm always thinking about you and hoping you're, you know.
I had a echocardiogram yesterday.
Yeah.
Had dialysis today.
Mm-hmm.
I got an ultrasound in April,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then after that, I guess I'll be on the list. I don't know.
Yeah, the echocardiogram. I get one of those about every 2 years, and
Yeah.
they're very simple. It's a sonogram, but of the heart. You know.
And they want me to go for a oral glucose test, tolerance test or something.
Yeah. Okay.
This might see what my glucose is like. I don't feel diabetic, though. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, they're probably just checking everything, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, making sure you're in good health, other than the kidney situation. You know.
So the way you like Trudeau, if his kidney came available, would you take it?
I have to think long and hard about that one.
Good answer. Good answer.
Good question.
You gotta take it. You gotta take it.
Well, he, like I said, he was born Christmas Day, and 9 months earlier they were in the Caribbean.
All right, come on.
Joe's probably eating this whole story off. He's listening.
Maybe
She
it was
went to
wait a
Cuba.
minute. Maybe it was a very.
There's a photo of her with
Yeah.
Fidel Castro
Yeah, but
when
how-
they went to visit him the
Yeah.
first time when
Yeah.
they first met. She's looking very lovingly into his eyes.
Well, that's the way
Most
you
times
interpret
better.
it. I mean, the
Better
fact is,
living through
it could have been that
Photoshop.
she got pregnant in the Caribbean because
Well,
it was,
he was known to be a little bit of a horn dog himself,
You talking
Who's
about
with
Trump now?
Castro?
Castro.
Oh,
all
Trudeau
all
like
I'm
to smoke
saying
cigars?
is you're saying he was born 9 months after they were in Cuba. Could be a Caribbean vacation like that is very romantic.
Very romantic.
absolutely.
You know, and
Yes, they're true, but
Trudeau,
when you look
but
at
Trudeau. You know,
Does
he
Trudeau
doesn't
like
really
to
look
smoke
like his
cigars?
dad.
I mean, we know Margaret was kind of, you know,
He used to dance at Studio 54 all the time.
yeah.
Who's this?
Did she?
When
And
I
her,
was-
did she and
When
her
I was in the
husband?
Caribbean, I
Did
saw
she-
Halle Berry.
Did she and
And I
Pierre
gotta
get
tell you, my
wait,
tongue was
hold
hard.
on. Did she and Pierre get divorced? I'm trying to remember.
I believe so. I don't think Pierre died quite a few years ago.
Could have been he died. Yeah. Is
Alex,
she-
did you ever get into Studio 54? Then you went into the club.
I was asked to, but I never went because I didn't want to.
I always wondered how.
Too many people from Queens there.
Yeah, I didn't want to go there. What? It was like
Disco wasn't cool. Disco was
disco was not cool.
I like the Bee Gees though. I don't know.
In the 70s, disco was not.
Come on, you have to admit, Alex, that documentary, they were good when you made me watch
The
it.
documentary was good,
singing.
but the
Yeah.
music sucked.
Oh, I thought they were good. Now looking back, you don't think it's a little catchy now?
The music was always changing depending upon the times. They were musical horrors.
Kind of like rap without dancing.
Yeah. Well, what I hated most about disco were the fashions. Because when that was happening, I swore to myself, I will never wear one of those big, thick-heeled shoes, right?
Oh, platforms.
And the next thing I knew,
Bell-bottoms this
next
big.
thing I knew, I was wearing those shoes because it was the only thing you could buy in a store.
Were they comfortable or no?
Oh, they were
Probably got-
horrible. They were just horrible. Clunk, clunk, clunk.
You could hear him coming from a mile away. He's coming with those big clock hoppers.
I remember those that were popular.
By the way,
when I was in
there's
high
a great
school.
documentary on Disney Plus. If you get to see it, about the Sherman Brothers. Do you know who the Sherman Brothers were? Richard and Robert Sherman. They wrote music for Disney. They wrote the score for Mary Poppins,
Oh,
as an example. They wrote a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, one song after another. Some of Annette's biggest hits, and so on and so forth. And they're talking about the song "It's a Small World," which they wrote.
Kill him.
Shame on
And they
them.
said that they felt that the Sherman Brothers wrote it, but they think they stole it from the Chinese who created it as a form of torture. I had a friend who said he was on the ride, the Small World ride down in Disneyland or Disney World, and the boat got stuck and didn't move for like 2 hours. And this thing is
PTSD.
on a loop, right? So all they heard over and over again was da 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 da.
It's in Disneyland, not Disney World.
No, it's in
No,
it's
it's
Disney World.
That's
In both. Yeah, it's in both.
World,
In
yeah.
both? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it was.
And,
I think
and I've been stuck on that boat for about 10 minutes, and it feels like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Swear to God,
even
I got stuck in that fucker,
And-
and I swear I did not stop hearing that thing for the rest of the weekend.
every time you go around a corner, there's a different version of the song playing,
Yeah.
like in a different language.
Yep.
So you
And-
were the one.
And I knew every freaking language too.
I went one time. There were so few people on that ride that particular day that when I turned one of those corners, the kids were playing cards. Anyway, yeah. Hey, that's it. That's our music. Oh God, it's been a different show today. I did the first half hour all by myself.
Yeah.
Was that okay? Was it all right? Yeah. Okay.
Missed that part.
I see you missed that part because you thought I was going to have music, or not music, but an interview, or music. I don't care.
That half hour.
Anyway,
Interview
hey, thank you, Charlie. I appreciate it. Thank you, Steve. Keep getting better, and we hope all that trucking situation solves itself, and you Canadians can get back to being the wonderful, sweet, wonderful people that you always have been. Hey, thanks to John Larkin for being here. Tony Magno, Alan, thank you for being here. Jeff, great having you here, and of course Kevin, good having you here too. Everybody, give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you. Okay, there they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizen panel for tonight. Let me just get rid of them here for a second. There they go. Okay, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. We'll be back again tomorrow night, and same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. And by the way, please get vaccinated. If you've been vaccinated, get the booster. And if you don't do any of that, wear a mask. And if you don't wear a mask, stay the fuck away from me. See you later.